the radical change you see in your patients every day. This is an interesting conversation that was brought to my attention in a workshop that I was in. And they were talking about the difference between the grandparents of today and the children of today. That the grandparents were brought up in an environment that was so vastly different from what we experience now, that the children of today are growing up, that it is almost impossible to conceive that this could have happened. In 50, 60 years, we have gone from a parenting model where the child was out and about all day, must be back by sunset, usually, at least here in Australia, accompanied by some degree of physical abuse if they were not back in time. My father certainly described getting belted for being late. And it's okay. I'm okay with that. That's what happened. That was standard practice. We go back a bit further in Australia. Whoa, we are talking about some serious hardcore punishment. My father was still being caned at school. And fortunately, a lot of that physical punishment has stopped. But there is that element here, that is how they grew up. There was a degree of freedom in terms of being able to roam the streets with their friends, but also a degree of harsh punishment for transgression of the rules. And then we fast forward to today, and we are looking at kids that at 18 months or 2 years old are able to navigate our devices. And you take a parent from the 1940s, 1950s, and they will struggle still with the technology. How do you use this? How do you use this? And yet the children of today have been brought up into this digital world, competent and able to use these devices from an extremely young age. And I've seen this with my kids. But this difference between the parenting of a child in the 40s, 50s, maybe 60s, through to the parenting of a child in 2020, in the 2020s, which is what we've got now, so radically different that it is almost, it's like, how did this happen? But what's really interesting is, guess who's stuck in the middle of this? The parents of the children of today. They were raised by parents who existed under that very rigid discipline. But now they are existing in a very different world. They're trying to bring their children up, and there are no guidebooks for this. It's hard enough being a parent as it is, let alone trying to navigate without any maps. And it's like, whoa, what are we going to do with these kids? I don't know. Do we just let them go free range, zero discipline? Do we just let them have 12, 14 hours on the computer, on the devices? Do we limit it? What the heck do we do? But guess who's showing up to you as the doctor? And what was interesting to me is that religion has largely died here. And that might be a bit awkward to say. Perhaps that's just my world. But I see churches closing in my area. They're not drawing many people. And yes, there's the fervent, devout people, and they will go, but many Australians seem not to be that interested. And so they are showing up to guess who for advice, to confess their difficulties. They're showing up to us as the doctors. And so we are seeing all three of these demographics. We've got the parents who are now old and suffering, but they've also got the challenge of looking after their children who are parents as well. And they're grandparents. They've got health conditions. They're living in this tech world. They're like, what the heck do we do? The kids are in this wild world of social media and exposure. I see my kids just loop TikTok and YouTube. I bought software to limit TikTok and nothing happened. I was like, what's going on here? What's going on? And I found out that all they did was pivot over to YouTube and start watching TikTok on YouTube. I'm like, what's going on here? The second TikTok I ever saw was talking about cocaine usage in the toilets. I'm like, whoa, what's going on, people? This is insane. I don't think I want my kids on this. 14 and 11 and 8, and now they're growing up a bit more, 15, 12 and 9. But this is what they are being exposed to. Instagram's kind of like soft porn. It's like, oh my goodness. So they're coming in, and then who's stuck in the middle? The parents of today. Perhaps you've got kids. I got kids, and it is challenging. It's like, whoa. What do we do? Luckily, I was provided with one single piece of advice that has greatly helped my relationship with my kids, and that is to invest into them. Invest into them, to represent a voice that says, I love you no matter what. No matter what. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm so grateful for you in my life. And so I send them messages on the messenger, on the SMS, on Instagram. I love you. Thank you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful for you in my life. Because there are dangerous and dark forces out there, and they will be exposed to those. And so giving them a central core that they can come to and know that they are loved, that they are internalizing that message, I am loved. And hopefully that turns into self-love. I love me, that my kids at some level are learning how to love themselves. But this was not brought to me by just magic. I had to invest in a program, and they said, hey, go do this because your kids are being exposed to all of this. And so when the parents come to you as the doctor, perhaps that's a gift that you can pass as well. But I would suggest, to be in integrity with yourself, try it out. Do it for your kids. Invest into your kids. It's a wonderful practice. And to do it without expectation of return. I'm not looking for a reply back. It's nice when it happens, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking as a planting of love into them, that they know from me, I love them. I love them unconditionally. Nothing they can do. Nothing they can do. I'm like, hey, you know, I can give you some advice. Maybe that's not the best choice, but if you choose to do that, then I'm okay with that. I'll still love you. I love you. And so if you can do this for your children, then this acts as some degree of protection against what they are being exposed to at school, online, in this wild and crazy world. Like, just going back to that jump, think about the journey that I can only reference it from my world. My father grew up on a street 5 kilometers from Brisbane that had a dirt road. And it was the only house there. My grandfather bought it for £200. £200. And now when we go there, it's been double developed. All the blocks got developed. The first house went on. Then all of them have been split, and the entire thing is paved. And now it's classed as inner city Brisbane. $1 million for the property without any work being done. That property being held for 70 odd years. My grandmother still lives in that same house. So cool. It's epic. £200 through to $1 million. But my father grew up on a dirt street, became an obstetrician, gynecologist. But that was his upbringing. Very different from my upbringing. I was right at the cusp. I got a computer that had a 8086 chip in it and a 30 megabyte, not gigabyte, megabyte hard drive, 30 megabyte hard drive. And I managed to develop a video game addiction before we had video game addictions. By the age of 26, managed to give myself a video game addiction. It's still there. It's still there. I grew up playing Sierra Online games. I used to love these. These were so cool. But my childhood was a cusp event. But it wasn't the insanity that we are faced with now. And the children of today, my kids, it's full on. It's full on. I tell you, I found one thing. My son discovered surfing, and it is better than the computer games. Better than the computer games. It is an unreal experience. And so perhaps you're struggling. You're like, what should we do? Well, you need something like surfing that is difficult but is amazing. It takes them to the present moment. It takes me to the present moment. But you've got to be a leader as a doctor. You've got to have some strategies that when your patients present to you with the challenges in their lives, you've got to have frameworks and structures that you can help them transition through the difficulties. Not just the medical problems, but also all of the challenges that they are facing in their life. The work difficulties, the post-COVID difficulties, the raising children difficulties, the parents getting old and sick difficulties. All of these, you are the guide, and you must be willing to upgrade your leadership skills so that you can lead your patients, because they're coming to you and they're looking for something. They don't even know what it is, but they're looking for wisdom, guidance, that sense of solidarity through themselves. And they get it when you're solid, when you're certain, when you are able to lead them out of their darkness, out of their difficulties, through a path to a higher place, a better place. And whether they're really struggling and it's just a small lift, or whether they are doing really well and they were looking for the next level, they are coming to you as the doctor. And maybe you haven't been aware of this. You've just been thinking they're coming for health, but really they're looking for leadership. And you must be able to guide them in this insane world that we are living in. And do not expect it to get easier. Did you see those Apple goggle things that are coming? Whoa, we thought we lost people already? Once you get into that mixed VR, AR world, we're going to see people walking around with those things all day long. This is going to intensify the difficulties. So you got to be ready. You got to start working out, well, what are you bringing to the table? And that starts with you leading in your own life. Who are you showing up in your physical health, in your spirituality, in your family, and in your role as a doctor? These 4 core areas of life are worth looking at, because if I'm going to represent a leadership role, then people must be able to say, well, Tom, where's your body at? Where's your spirituality at? Where's your family at? And where is your business game at as a doctor? If you're interested in this, this is where graduate medicine is going. We are moving beyond just the medical knowledge and medical education. It's not enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing as a society. And the people are coming to us as doctors. So if you want some help around this, go jump onto Graduate Medicine website, sign up. If you need the book, there's only one book at the moment, but this is where we're going. Clinical certainty, that you are certain as a doctor to lead yourself, your family, and your patients through this chaotic existence that we are facing and will not go away. This is a highly rewarding path. It's a wonderful path. I look forward to sharing more with you on coming lives, but thanks for tuning in today. I look forward to seeing you on the next one very soon. Have an awesome day. I'm going to go surfing with my son right now. See you very soon.